Hi, welcome to my new series called What the Fuck is Wrong with Blue? We're going to start in the middle of this journey because that's what I want to talk about today. There were some other tests that I did that we might talk about in other videos, but today we're going to talk about my echocardiogram results. And also take the word series with a grain of salt because I'm pretty notorious for calling something a series and then never touching the subject again. So there's that. So, what the fuck is wrong with me? And I don't mean mentally. We already know that's a fucking clusterfuck up in here. I mean physical issues since the worst parts of my burnout that have, been popping up. To give a bit of background, I'm a naturopathic doctor and I was late diagnosed ADHD a little over 2 years ago. I have symptoms, physical symptoms that come and go, which makes it difficult to really nail down the cause of them. So there have been various lab tests happening, most of which have actually come back within normal ranges, even if some of the lab results were on the lower end of normal, which as a naturopathic doctor, I'm trained to treat the person, not lab values, but that's a different subject. Anyway, basically, lab values that are teetering on the edge of normal are usually a red flag for me. We call these subclinical symptoms. So basically symptoms that aren't really showing up clinically, perhaps yet, that may in the future, that are pretty typical of a disease process but may not be showing at the time. And it's really difficult to diagnose conditions when your symptoms are subclinical. But anyway, today we're talking about echocardiogram. This was the first ever echocardiogram I'd ever had, so unfortunately we don't have anything to compare it to see if things have always looked like this or if there's a progressive situation happening. What's an echocardiogram? So basically it's a special type of ultrasound that visualizes the heart, and you can visualize it in real time. Basically you can take video of it pumping, you can zoom in and take a look at the valves specifically and see the action of the valves. You can also visualize how efficiently the heart is pumping the blood through the body, because you can see the blood flow basically. My echo showed fairly normal structures, but some of my valves are a little bit loosey-goosey, allowing the blood to flow backwards from its normal path. Let me explain. So blood flow in the heart is only supposed to go in one direction, right? And these valves here are supposed to act like one-way streets, essentially. Crash course in cardiac blood flow. All right, so the oxygen poor blood comes into the right atrium right here, and it gets squeezed through the tricuspid valve into the right ventricle. From here, it gets squeezed through the pulmonary valve and goes into the lungs to collect oxygen. Oxygen-rich blood then comes back through the pulmonary veins into the left atrium. And then that blood gets squeezed through the mitral valve into the left ventricle. And then from there, the left ventricle squeezes the oxygen-rich blood through the aortic valve, where it goes and delivers oxygen to the rest of the body, to our organs and our tissues. I was actually kind of proud of myself, because during the echocardiogram, I remember watching the imaging and looking at it and being like, that valve is going both directions. That's not supposed to happen. And I was right! My tricuspid valve, my pulmonary valve, and my mitral valve have all decided they would rather be swinging saloon doors than heart valves. When this happens, it's referred to as valve regurgitation. And there's a calculation that is done to assess how bad the regurgitation is. The right ventricular systolic pressure, and my value was just a few points above normal, which basically means the right ventricle, the pressure that it's exerting is higher than it normally is for a healthy heart. So what causes loosey-goosey flappy valves? There's a few things. There could be an infection in the tissue of the heart or a tissue around the heart, chronic illness, connective tissue disorders, hypertension, congestive heart failure. There's a number of things that cause it. Everything else about my heart, though, is largely normal. The structures, they all look normal. We can probably rule out, congestive heart failure. I don't have any past history of heart issues, but heart disease does run in my family, so there's consideration there. And the jury is still out, obviously, on whether or not I have a chronic illness or like a connective tissue disorder, but what I am suspecting is that my regurgitation is possibly due to pulmonary hypertension, which basically means that the vessels in my lungs are constricted somehow, causing more back pressure on the pulmonary valve. So basically, these vessels, the pulmonary arteries and beyond and all through the lungs, could possibly have a higher pressure than what the right ventricle has during during the chamber filling with blood from the right atrium, which means that this valve right here is just like the worst bouncer. Like a bunch of people come out of the club and then a bunch of people are like, let us go back in. And they're like, okay, whatever. This is a problem because we need oxygen to live. And if my heart isn't able to adequately pump blood through the lungs and then subsequently get oxygen-rich blood around the body, it's going to slow me down. This explains the shortness of breath and palpitations that I get whenever I do physical activity these days. It didn't used to be like that. I used to have to do much more rigorous physical activity to reach those symptoms, but the last few years have been very rough. And there's a lot of support that I used to have, like nutritional support, regular exercise, that I don't have anymore. So these symptoms are starting to show up in just regular, like mild physical activity. So what happens now? Well, I have a referral for a cardiologist, first ever in my life. And they will take a look at my results and see what they think. I'm hoping that they do a stress test, which is where they hook up the electrodes and then they make you run on a treadmill or something. I think there's also a table tilt test where electrodes, but then they tilt you on a table to see what your heart does. And something like that, I think, would show what's going on a little bit better because, yeah, my symptoms tend to show up when I'm doing, like, physical activity. So I'm hoping that's what happens. And, we'll see. Like I said, I haven't been able to rule out autoimmune or, some kind of connective tissue disorder because of some previous tests that have been done, but this video is already pretty long, so we'll save that for a different video. I hope you liked this little mini lecture on heart anatomy and blood flow, and if you do like it when I make these little videos like this, I added a support tier to my Ko-Fi page for just $1 a month. Every little bit goes a very long way, especially right now, while I'm still recovering from burnout. So if you want some more videos like that, and you're able to, go ahead and help a girl out. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye!